To make the hot pot, you'll need to start with a base broth. Later, you will add various ingredients and seasonings to this to create the mild or clear broth and the spicy Malabroth. So to make this base broth, you will need a boiling chicken. I used a free-range rooster here. 500 grams of pork bones, some ginger cut up into large pieces, some spring onion, only the bottom white parts, and about 10 or so white peppercorns. All of this is going into a large pot with at least 4 liters of water. The boiling chicken. This is in 4 liters of water. 500 grams of pork bones, some ginger in big pieces, spring onion, only the bottom white bits, and finally just a few white peppercorns. So I'm going to let this come to the boil, and then once it does, lower it to a simmer for about 40 minutes to an hour, and I'll keep skimming the scum off the top as it goes. To make the mild or clear broth, known as qingtang, you will need to season your base broth with a tomato cut up into wedges, some spring onion, again only the white parts, a couple of sticks of celery, a few red dates, also known as jujube, or in Chinese, hongzao, about half a corn cob, a few shiitake mushrooms, and a couple of teaspoons of salt. You should use your time wisely and prepare these seasonings, as well as the ones I'll bring up next for the spicy Malabroth, while your base broth is simmering away. The spicy Malabroth, or in Chinese, mala hongtang, requires a few more ingredients and also some cooking. You'll need some ginger, some spring onion, a fair amount of garlic, some mashed red chili paste. You can buy these at an Asian grocery. Just ask for 4八辣椒, or make it yourself, as I'm going to do in a moment. Next are some Sichuan peppercorns. These give the tingling, numbing sensation, which is the ma in ma la. Then, traditionally in some areas of Sichuan, this seasoning would be cooked in beef fat, known as tallow or suet, rather than in oil, so ask your butcher for a few tablespoons worth of this. The next ingredient is a fermented broad bean and chili paste from Sichuan called doubanjiang. I always like to use the best one, which is from a place called Pixian. Finally, you'll need 1 star anise and about a tablespoon of light soy sauce. Next, I'm going to prepare the mashed chilies and cook all of this. Okay, so the broth is simmering away. I've got my ingredients here to flavor the white broth, the clear broth, and now I'm going to get the seasonings ready for the red broth, for the spicy one. So the first thing to do is we're going to soak 50 grams of dried red chilies in some boiling water to soften them. The chili's been soaking for at least half an hour. So let's chop it up a little bit. Right, this will do, all mashed up. Now I'm going to cook it to make the seasoning for the Malabroth, for the red spicy broth. We're going to go with these 50 grams of chopped chilies, some Sichuan peppercorns, more spring onion, some ginger, a bunch of pixian doubanjiang, which is the fermented chili and bean paste from Sichuan, the best money can buy, and a little bit of suet or beef tallow. So basically, animal fat, beef fat. Almost forgot, I'm also going to chop up 8 garlic cloves to go in there as well. Also a star anise, as well as a tablespoon of light soy sauce that goes in at the very end. To start with, light your gas, put the wok on top, and we're going to melt down the beef tallow or suet. So that takes a minute or two to slowly render. If there's any bits of meat or sinew that don't render, like the fat does, just remove them. Yes, I am cooking in a hot wok with shorts and thongs. You can take the boy out of Singapore, but you can't take the Singapore out of the boy. So now you've got yourself about 3 tablespoons of rendered beef fat in the wok. It's time to crank up the heat a little bit and start putting ingredients in. First the ginger, then the garlic, and the spring onion. Stir fry that around for a couple of minutes, just until it's fragrant. Once it's fragrant and taken on a little bit of color, you can go ahead and add some more ingredients. So the pixian doubanjiang, the fermented chili and bean paste, your mashed red chilies, all of it, the Sichuan peppercorns, and the star anise. And fry all of this together for another minute or two. Once all that has fried for a few minutes and the oil has taken on a nice red color, you can add some of your base broth to it. So I'm going to add 2 liters of broth to this seasoning. And once all the broth is added, crank up the heat, bring it to a boil, and then lower it to a medium simmer for about 15 minutes. And don't forget to add your light soy sauce into it. There's the mala spicy broth just simmering away. And while that's happening, I'm going to get all the little bits and bobs that go inside the broth when you have a hot pot ready and set out. This is this is the end deal. We've got the clear broth, or not so clear with all the stuff in it, the mala spicy broth, keeping all of that warm with a little bit of gas. And for dipping, I have some beef, brisket, ox tongue, pork, lamb, an assortment of mushrooms, so enoki, baby oyster, big oyster, shiitake. We've got some duck's blood here, some boneless duck's feet, some beef tripe, quail eggs, what's it called? Chrysanthemum leaves, wombok or Chinese cabbage, lobster bowls, some seafood tofu and cuttlefish bowls. And here we have, let's see if I can remember. That one there is chicken and corn, then that one is pork, then this one is beef, and this one is fish. And finally, two different types of tofu. So just regular firm tofu and some sheets of fried tofu. And yeah, this was supposed to be an 8 or 10 person thing. But thanks to Melbourne's lockdown, it's just going to be me and my fiance. But I'm sure we'll have leftovers for the rest of the week. So, 恭喜发财，新年快乐, Happy Chinese New Year, everyone. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks everyone for watching. If you like this video, feel free to let me know in the comments and subscribe if you want to. This is my first video that I've made for Jamon Hummus Hargao, and I'm just using a GoPro, my Google Pixel, my laptop, no sound equipment, and my very, very basic skills in Photoshop and Premiere Pro. So any suggestions, advice, things you think I could improve, I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, thanks for watching. See you next time.